Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion.
Hello once again and welcome to Poetry in Motion Sunday. I'm Craig Lewis and you're watching episode 46. And start with my first poem. This one's called First to Bleed. A chagrined look was on her face as she walked in through the door, reflecting on the incident from the night before. The night had begun with cocktails and rum. The pre-drinks were pouring till 1 in the morning. Her celebration after 3 years enduring a relationship with a loser. Things were good until he started to abuse her. She'd cake her face up with makeup when it was bruised up, but wore very little when it wasn't, and still Tiana was ever looking stunning. She saw he wasn't fit to be a husband. He became booed up in a sudden. These times she'd yearn to be in the places that he wasn't, like the four walls that surround her as we speak. Prior to this incident, she'd been counting down the sleeps for this meetup with her peeps. Finally, it's here. Out comes the stilettos, down comes the hair. Arriving at the club for all the guys to stare. It's been 3 years, for Tiana this is rare. While in the corner stands a woman looking peeved, animated with expression, information she's received from her best friend Sam. She said, "That's the girl who you shared your man with." That's right, he had a double life, taking the advantage. She brought Bristy to Tiana, now she's pulling at her weave, but Tiana held her own. She wasn't the first to bleed. And moving on to my second poem, this one's called 45. It's 8 a.m. He's second-guessing skiving a day from school, 'cause of his father's tendencies to be a raging bull. Begrudgingly, he's in the mirror, putting on his tie. 1 more year of this, and then he tells his school goodbye, and then he gets to grin. He hates the fact for certain actions they call his next of kin, which means another whooping, with him feeling vexed again. His grandfather set this trend back in 1960-something, hence each time he crossed the line he had a whooping coming, regardless how the laws had changed. Could the lack of discipline be the reason kids are more engaged with such behaviors? If the parents do not spare the rod, one call could be their savior. Some juveniles have seen jail thrice before a day of labor. Out the kitchen drawer some take a knife, fist brawling days are surely died. The young lad has got a friend that took a life. His mum was mortified, 'cause he won't be coming out until he's 45. I'm moving on to my third and final poem. This one's called Back to Back. Trapped in an elevator with no pen and paper in sight, could be much a plight for the bard that's prolific and lives to write, then recite his works like a sermon a preacher recites in a church. What is life worth with very little, when no passion never fiddles with your heartstrings? Could a green finger's love for gardening be deprived? If a house had no gardening, would she survive? I presume the answer's yes. One would justly suggest she'd had an allotment that she would visit when she could, as if she made a pledge. When harvest came, she'll bag the veg she grew, take home to cook with love, then eat it with the stew. Hence to order takeaways of things she need not do. Opportunities passion pursues, and could well be just the last of your blues. You may want to put on your tap dancing shoes and do the happy tap. Passions some have 3 or 4, remarkably some do them back to back. And there you have it, your poetry fix for me for the day. Hope you enjoyed. Until next week, short and sweet. Take care.
Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday.